Hello everyone, Emily here from Emily's Craft and Crochet. Thank you for joining me today. I am using the rest of this, looks like an Ogo round. It was the Halo Karen Cakes, Halo. It's really soft. I made a hat and scarf already. I knitted the hat and I crocheted the hat and knitted the scarf, and I have quite a bit left, so I think I'm going to go ahead and try to knit a hat. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stitches on here. I'm just going to knit, then I'm going to fold it over. I'm going to sew the sides together. I'm just going to take the top and pull it together and cinch it, and then my hat will be done. So this is a really easy hat. I just wanted to get on here and show you how to do your knitting needle, how to put your yarn on it. I think this is wonderful. I just learned how to do it because I was doing it the old-fashioned way, and I think this is going to help. If you saw my last video of my scarf, then you would have seen that my end looked really horrible. Well, I learned how to do this. Take your first end and you're going to take as much yarn as you think you're going to need to put on your hook. Not hook, I'm sorry, your needle. And then I made a slip knot. All I did was I took it, wrapped it around my finger, took it off, and brought my yarn through, and I pulled it, and there's a slip knot. I'm going to put it on my hook, my needle, excuse me. Pull it a little tight. And now this is the side that has my end on it. And this is connected to my yarn. I'm just going to pull it down like this, and I'm going to put it in my hand, just like I always hold it when I'm crocheting or knitting. And then I'm going to put my forefinger and my thumb in between the two pieces and separate them. So I'm going to put my fingers in there and separate them. I am going to take my needle and I'm going to go underneath my thumb. Then I'm going to go over to my finger and go through my finger, pull it down. See how I brought my thumb over? And then I'm just going to pull it tight. Oops. Let's do that again. I'm going to put it on my hands here. Put my fingers in the middle. I'm going to open them up. I'm going to run it up my thumb here like this. I'm going to go over to the next finger and get that yarn. I'm going to pull it through that yarn that was on my thumb. And then I'm going to pull it tight. Let's do it again. My fingers in there, go up my thumb, go over here. I'm going to put it in my finger and go underneath that skein. I'm going to bring my thumb this way, and there we go. And I'm just going to pull it. Go up my thumb, go down my finger and grab it. I'm going to pull it back under, and there we go. So now it's going to, when I start, it's going to make this first few stitches seem like I have already knitted one. So I'm going to go up my thumb, down my finger, and as I do that, I'm just going to lift my thumb up and go right underneath. I don't know why this was so hard for me to do this. Put my fingers in between, got it, hold them with my fingers, got my yarn in between, go up my thumb, go down my forefinger, move my thumb so my yarn goes back there, done. I hope I'm not pulling it too tight. Maybe I should try to leave it a little bit looser. Up my thumb, down my finger. There we go. I'm kind of proud of myself. Gosh, I've been knitting for years. So I got my yarn here. Put your fingers in between. Up my thumb, down my forefinger, and then pull it through. And this yarn is very soft and fluffy. I put on 37 stitches. I think that's going to be enough for this hat with these big knitting needles. You can see that I went all the way to the very end of my strand. So that's another reason why I stopped. So you want to make sure you always put enough on your end for how long your project is going to be. So now I moved my needle to my left hand because I am right-handed. And so now I'm just going to take my needles and I'm going to go right into that stitch and take my yarn and go over. And then I always like to rub it up against this here. And I got my yarn on there, and I could take my stitch off. So we're going to do it again. See that? And go around. I'm going to rub my needles, my tip here, and I'm going to take it off. So you can see you want to make sure that you keep pushing it up, but not too close to the top so that it comes off. I'm going to go right underneath there, come through the back, grab my yarn, I'm going to wrap it around, and I always pull it a little bit so that it goes down, and I'm kind of holding it. See how tight it is? I'm rubbing my needle up against here. Take it off. Do it again. There you go. See, I'm rubbing it against this other needle. I'm going in there. I'm going to take my yarn and go around. And I pull it a little bit so that it's in there. It's in there underneath this needle. And then I use my finger to push this one through. And as I do it, I'm rubbing it against that one, this needle. And I rub it. Now I have my stitch on there, and I can take it off. Run it underneath of there. Wrap my yarn around. You can see I'm holding this one with these fingers. Pull it. So it came down. I'm going to push it with my finger. I'm going to rub it up against this other one here. Came through, take it off. And don't pull it really tight because you're going to be going into those. So let's do it again. I'm going to go underneath here. And I'm going to put my yarn around it. Pulled it a little bit. Use my finger. And take it off. Look at that, how pretty. So I use this hand to hold this like this when I'm wrapping my yarn. So we're going to go under the next one. Wrap your yarn around. Pull it a little bit. Use my finger to push it, and it's going to rub up against this one. And I like to pull this up really far and then take it off. See, my yarn is like where the needles are first starting to go down. That's where I like to have my stitches when I go underneath. And this is knitting. And take it off. If you like to crochet, knitting's can be very deceiving. You could think that it takes longer than crocheting, which, you know, I guess I really do find that it does but your end projects come out so different. Now I like to knit. I do not like my washcloths to be knitted. I prefer them to be crocheted. It's my preference. And I know that I crocheted and knitted with this yarn. And I gotta tell you that I was really happy with the way the knitted looked. So that's why I decided to knit this hat. And you can see that when I put my needle underneath, my yarn is right here, my stitch is right there, and I'm putting it underneath. I like to push this all the way up and then come out. That way I'm not worried about my stitches coming off. Move these up a little bit. This is how you're going to repeat it. Just keep doing this, go to the end, turn, and do it. Keep doing it over and over again. And you don't have to worry about your ends coming out straight because you're not going to drop any stitches. Be really careful not to drop any stitches. And your ends are going to come out nice and straight. So this hat is going to be really nice and simple. Just to repeat back and forth. And then I'll sew my two ends together. Then I'll draw one end for the head of the hat, and it will be done. You could add a decal, some flowers. You could put a pom-pom on the top. You could do a lot of things. If you wanted to, you could make this into a scarf. Just keep going and make it nice and long. I hope this was a good video for you new beginners in knitting. And this will get you started. It's always nice to learn one stitch. And you can see that I use this finger right here, this one, to navigate this needle. It helps to be in control. And like I said, these needles are nice and short. Working with the longer ones can be a little bit more challenging. Almost to the end. And they're getting a little bit tighter as I get to the end. So I'm just going to make sure that I get that in there. And I am moving this. You can move this around. I like to keep this one that I'm holding in my left hand and move this one. So see that stitches are getting a little tighter, so I'm moving it closer to the top so I can get in there easier. Here I am at my last one. That was my slip knot that I put on there. And turn it. Put the empty one in your right hand. Turn it around and see 34 stitches, and there's quite a bit of length here. So yeah, that's going to be perfect. But of course, it might not be perfect for you if you're just doing a different type of yarn. So I think this is, I don't have the wrapper still, so sorry. But I think this is a 4 or a 5 weight. And you can see that this is my stitch, and this is what I put on the needle. So now we're just going to do it again. So I have it up here where it's starting to go down. It starts to go down right there. And you are going to learn how to hold yours how you want to. I hold this one like that, my right hand like this. I just kind of, and I like to keep this finger here. So my first one, I'm just going to start doing the same thing. Put my yarn over, take it off. And just repeat. This is the beginning of knitting. And see, I haven't been pulling this tight every time I go around. I'm just kind of letting it be loose. So when I do that one over. So when I come back to go in, the stitches have been pretty loose. That's nice. And then as you catch on, you will be able to go faster. So you can knit like this with any type of yarn. Just look at your wrapper on your yarn, and it will tell you what size knitting needles that they suggest. Just like if you were crocheting, it would tell you what size crochet hook to use. And as I do this, you can't see it, but I'm pushing my yarn up. I guess it's just habit. But you're gonna have your own way of doing things once you get started. Now, when you get to the end of your project and you want to end it off, I'm going to show you how to do that also. Isn't this relaxing? Alright, so I haven't gotten very far, just a few. Every one of those is one up, one back. But I wanted to show you how to take it off your hook. I'm sorry, off your knitting needles. So you're just going to do your regular knit. And you're going to go into the next one and do your regular knit. And then after you do that, you want to take this first one over the second one. So you're only going to have two on here at a time. And then you're going to knit like usual. And we're going to take that one over this one. So the last one I used my fingers. You can use your fingers. You can use your knitting needles. So when you only have one left, you're going to knit one. And you're going to take this one. And I rub this against this one to make sure that I don't lose it. Take it off. Knit your next one. take it over. Ooh, that was a big loose one, wasn't it? Pull my stitch a little bit tighter. So you can always take your fingers and take it over, or you can use your knitting needle. And you do that all the way to the end, and it takes it off. See? And that is how you knit. I hope you enjoyed this. This is so soft. It's pretty. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I hope you try knitting. It is so fun. It's very satisfying when you finish a project. I love this yarn. You could use any kind of yarn you want. Make sure you look on the label and use the size of knitting needles that it suggests. If you wanted to make it a tighter stitch, you could always go down a half or a whole needle size. Well, you guys have a great day. Stay safe, and I will be back soon. Thank you. Bye.